Wintertime means rest. It means a pause. It means it's time to trim back what doesn't belong, what holds us back from growing, kind of like I've just done on my blueberry bushes, so that what needs to grow and bloom come spring may do so. How do I winter well? I've always struggled with this. I used to think I'd live in California and leave winter behind, kind of like how right now I happen to be in Hawaii. It's funny because this particular video I happen to be recording while in Hawaii, and I wasn't planning it that way, it just kind of happened. But it's very interesting to be taking a little bit of a break from the winter and to see the difference of the environment over here versus home, and to then think about, what do I want to be like when I get back? Do I want to go back into my home life thinking, oh, it's winter, I'm getting into the winter slump? Or am I then going to go back home and change my attitude and see how can I embrace the season and make it the best that it can be and use it for what I can get out of it and what I can give to others through it. I realize though, to leave winter behind means to leave fall behind. Spring too. It means to live without the seasonal flow. While I've struggled with the northwest gray of winter, I'm now beginning to see the goodness coming from it. But I'm new to this. I'm new to the possibility that winter doesn't mean death, but rest for the new energy of life to come. What does it mean for me? How do I rest well? Oh man, how do I bring restorative life to my family in these months? Winter storms tend to creep up and undo things we've worked for in the seasons of accomplishment. Oh, if you watched my video last year of building our trellis over the new garden area, you should see how the windstorm just took it out this year. Our trampoline flew into it and knocked it right out. It may be my branch trellis that was taken out in a windstorm by our trampoline, or it might be the darkness of depression that brings lies about life, hope, and those around us. Either way, winter discouragement is only outdone when something else is more important. I'm learning to make nourishment important. Just as the garden has to sit, it gets the rain, and even an extra dose of fertilizer from our chickens and the horse, my family is finding comfort in soups, fresh breads, winter squash, and extra vitamins. We are waiting for the sun, but I've also learned something else here on the homestead. Every no means a yes. In years past, no to bright days with warmth left me bitter. Now I'm learning that there is a yes. In fact, there are many yeses, even though there is no sun. Winter brings rest and provides the time to do things I wouldn't normally do. I can read more. What do you do when other things are a no-go? Winter is your time for rest. One of the best things is fresh bread, like my sourdough garlic herb bread. And this is one of my favorite things to make, to be able to nourish my family during this time. After we bought our house just 4 years ago, I began to learn how to use the foods that we were growing, including herbs. And this year, one of the things I did was I tried to dry as many of the herbs that I grew as possible so that I'd be able to use them all year round. And so this winter, one of the most comforting things for me is to take out fresh dried rosemary or fresh dried sage and mix it with some other herbs and some garlic. Some of them, like the rosemary, is still growing out there. And some of the rosemary is still in my dehydrator waiting for me to package it up. But this has just been a wonderful way for me to use what I have in the winter time. Just one of those things that when you bake it in the kitchen, it gives off this comfort and this coziness and just the smell of the herbs. I first like to mix up my herbs: garlic, onion powder, rosemary, sage, thyme, lavender buds if you have them, and of course basil. Gotta love the basil. And don't forget the salt. But you want to mix those up, and I like to first in my sourdough bread get the starter with the water and mix that together with the flour. And as soon as I start adding the flour, then I feel like it's finally okay to add in those herbs, and I mix everything together and stir it until it starts pulling into a ball. At this point, I'll put it aside for about 15 minutes and have it covered. And then I go back, and that's just kind of giving it time to sit and absorb the moisture that is in it. And I will take it out of the bowl then and sprinkle some flour onto the countertop. And then I'm able to knead it. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I like to fold it. That is very important because it puts extra air into the einkorn. Because einkorn has a weak gluten, it's not going to stretch and rise as much as a normal wheat might do. And also it's going to rise with a sourdough. And sourdough does rise, it doesn't always rise as much as normal yeast would that you're used to using. And so I just like to add in the folding to invite some extra air to come into the bread. I'll go ahead and roll it back into a ball and then put it back in my bowl and cover it and let it sit again for about a half an hour. I'll knead it and fold it again. And then I will roll it back into the bowl. I will cover it, and I will place it in a warm spot for about 4 to 6 hours. Now, one of the things with einkorn is that you do want the dough to be a little bit more moist than you would with the modern day wheat that you might be used to using. It will need more moisture for when it goes into the oven. Otherwise, if it's not a little bit extra moist and sticky, then when it's in the oven, it will end up becoming dry. We like to have a crusty crust, right? And we like to have a nice moist middle. So that would be the ideal outcome of our loaf. After you've let it sit for 4 to 6 hours, we will bring it back over to the counter. I'll knead the dough all over again and fold it again, get the air in. I divide it into 2 different loaves. So I want to shape the loaves into an oval shape. And once I get that shape, I'll place it on a parchment lined baking sheet so that it can sit there and continue to rise a little bit while the oven is heating up. I can go ahead and slash my dough. What this does is it allows for the dough to be able to grow and rise, but it does make for a little bit more control over where the dough is going to split, rather than just allowing it to split wherever it wants to as it rises up. So go ahead and cover the dough after you've separated it into your 2 loaves and put it once again into a warm spot. And then after about 20 to 30 minutes, you'll want to turn your oven on to 485 degrees Fahrenheit, and you'll put in a Dutch oven lined with parchment paper and covered with the top of the Dutch oven in order to warm this up and prepare for baking your loaves. After about 20 minutes, I'll take about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of butter. I will open my Dutch oven and put my butter in so that it has a little time to melt. and get ready for those loaves to hit it and then to fry onto the bottom of my bread. Oh, it's so wonderful. So after about 20 more minutes, I'll take that Dutch oven out. I will open it up and I will carefully place my loaves into the Dutch oven side by side, and then cover it up and put it back into the oven. I cook my loaves for about 20 minutes, and then I will take the lid off of the Dutch oven and cook them for about 10 to 20 minutes more, depending on how baked you want it to be. It just depends on if you want a softer crust or a more crusty crust. I like to put mine on a wooden cutting board. This is a fun recipe to have with soup. It's a fun recipe to have with one of those comfort meals. Winter is your time for rest and nourishing your body and soul. You need it. Look into struggles you've had and take time to eat in ways that will heal your body. Don't go it alone. Nourishment is best done in community. Our horses and goats are great to hang out with any time of the year. But take up some time to spend with a friend. Grab a coffee, get some tea, have a play date, whatever you need to do. We are indoors so much more now, but that doesn't mean we can't see people. Now's the time. Rest is important. Rest and renewal is needed. Make winter work its wonders. Whether you're baking bread, or whether you're enjoying the people around you, or whether you're learning to take care of yourself better inside and out, this is a great time to do that. And thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. From the hilltop, this is Krista. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you guys soon. Enjoy the winter time to its fullest.